Hello, I'm Simon Whistler, you're watching the Today I Found Out YouTube channel, and in the video today we're looking at why there's an R in the abbreviation for Mrs. MRS. You may have wondered, if you've ever thought about it, why there is an R in Mrs. when it's generally spoken as Mrs., also sometimes spelled missis with an I instead of a U. Mrs. MRS first popped up as an abbreviation for mistress in the late 16th century. At the time, mistress didn't popularly have the negative connotation it often does today, namely referring to a woman other than a man's wife who he has an affair with. Instead, back then, mistress, deriving from the Old French maistresse, female master, was just the feminine form of Mr. or Master. Mistress itself first popped up in English around the 14th century, originally meaning female teacher or governess. By the 16th century, mistress referred to any woman with neither mistress nor Mr. referencing one's marital status. It wasn't until around the late 17th century that the marital status distinction began coming into play. Once mistress popularly took on the alternate definition of a married man's lover on the side, people almost universally stopped pronouncing Mrs. as mistress due to the negative implication. This change began as early as the late 17th century, and by the mid-19th century, the mistress pronunciation nearly completely disappeared in favor of the more socially acceptable Mrs., which was itself just a contracted version of the now taboo mistress. Interestingly, at least from a language evolution standpoint, while mistress started out being completely respectable and eventually was sullied, the alternative pronunciation, Mrs., that we still use today, actually was somewhat frowned upon until around the 18th century. Before this, Mrs. itself was considered a vulgar form of mistress. Around the same time Mrs., the abbreviation, showed up in the late 16th century, the abbreviation Ms., MS, and Miss, MISS, popped up, both also being short for mistress. Unlike the other two, Ms. MS quickly fell out of favor, and Miss MISS and Mrs. MRS were much more common. This was the case until the late 20th century, when Ms. MS once again became popular. In the early 20th century, Mrs. MRS was firmly entrenched as an abbreviation for a married woman, and Miss was used for non-married women. But there was no widely accepted abbreviation for a woman whose marital status was unknown. As such, Ms. was suggested as a way to refer to such a woman in writing, as noted in the 1901 Republican of Springfield, Massachusetts issue. There is a void in the English language which, with some diffidence, we undertake to fill. Everyone has been put in an embarrassing position by ignorance of the status of some women. To call a maiden Mrs. is only a shade worse than to insult a matron with the inferior title Miss. Yet, it is not always easy to know the facts. Now, clearly, what is needed is a more comprehensive term which does homage to the sex without expressing any views as to their domestic situation, and what could be simpler or more logical than the retention of what the two doubtful terms have in common. The abbreviation Ms. is simple, it's easy to write, and the person concerned can translate it properly according to circumstances. For oral use, it might be rendered as Ms., which would be a close parallel to the practice long universal in many bucolic regions, where a slurred Ms. does duty for Miss, and Mrs. alike. Despite this very public suggestion, and several similar ones through the next half-century, the usage didn't widely catch on at first. This all changed in the 1970s when Ms. magazine was first published. At this time, a friend of the co-founder of the magazine, Gloria Steinem, heard someone suggest Ms. as a title for all women, whether married or not, and Steinem decided to use it as the name of the magazine. After this, Ms. finally started to see the light of day, being the female equivalent of Mr., which Mrs. had actually originally been. And now for some bonus facts. While Mr. started out being an abbreviation for master, by the 18th century it was almost exclusively pronounced as Mr., which derived from master, and master became firmly entrenched as a separate word from Mr. And now for another bonus fact. The proper abbreviation for the plural of Mr. is messes. So I really hope you found that video interesting. If you did, please do hit that like button below, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Also, do check out some of our other videos, which I'm putting on the screen over there on the right. Just click on those, check them out, and thank you for watching.